Times Now Summit is powered by Pernod Ricard India, Suzuki, co-powered by Dream Sports Knowledge Partner, Amrita University, Associate Partner, LIC, the International Partner, Deakin University, Associate Partner, Fiana Advisory, Banquet Partner, Brand Buzz Ventures.
India is at an immensely unique juncture. And in fact, be it the growing bilateral relations across borders, breakthrough innovations in science and technology, agriculture, space, or even her burgeoning economy, India has accelerated to an unstoppable momentum which has the potential to shape the world's future.
Absolutely. In fact, navigating through these geopolitical uncertainties, relying on her own domestic demand to firepower the national growth and increasingly becoming an international investment hub, India's rise to be a global power is a force to be reckoned with. Today, India is unstoppable.
And as the largest democracy in the world gears up to vote for their contender, the people's agenda takes center stage at the Times Now Summit. It is here over the next 2 days when we set the tone of who comes out on top. It is here over the next 2 days that Indians find their voice.
In fact, we'd like to welcome our honorable guest, the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Shri Vinay Kumar Saxena. A big round of applause.
And may we also request you to please stand for the national anthem.
जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you all. Please be seated.
Well, Times Now Summit, of course, is India's premier platform which shapes the most pertinent political discourse of the country. And it is to our credo to bring together the leading voices from across the nation's social, political, economic, as well as the business landscape to take stock of where the nation stands and unearth the direction for the future in the changing geopolitical scenario, thereby defining India's most comprehensive action plan.
And to shed more light on this year's Times Now Summit, may we invite the MD and CEO of Times Network, M.K. Anand, to welcome the August gathering.
The stage is yours, MK.
From business schools in Boston to tea houses in Japan, from envious neighbors to warring adversaries, there is one common refrain, one stellar case study, a story that is being said and heard over and over again. It's also the theme of this two-day summit that will amplify the story's decibels a few notches up. India is unstoppable. A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Shri Vinay Kumar Saxena, Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Shri Vineet Jain, Managing Director, Times Group, esteemed dignitaries, delegates, and guests gathered here today for Times Now Summit. It is truly an honor to stand before you on this momentous occasion, representing our mega news brand Times Now, who has been chronicler, cheerleader, fanboy, and sometimes player in the India story over the last 2 decades. This edition of Times Now Summit will focus on unstoppable India, and we'll have a solid lineup of speakers who will expound on the subject. I will therefore refrain from discussing that part and contain myself to how we as news media fit into the context of serving an unstoppable nation, and what are the challenges that we as a society face that media can help meet. A nation of our grand size, emerging out of the shadows and into its real glory and stature, is an epochal event. And even as this happens, media's task of ensuring that all constituents are engaged and informed of all facets of events and ideologies, honestly and without bias, is an extremely important responsibility. And I must state, In spite of some glitches here and there, Indian news media has done a commendable job in reporting during these challenging and historic decades. In spite of continuous heckling by mostly faceless critics, Indian corporate media have come good on their purpose of fostering and defending vital principles that have ensured that we are a vibrant democracy. Times Network's position as India's most influential network has been built diligently over the last 2 decades, story by story, to build trustworthy and dependable news platforms, even as we navigated rapidly changing technological, social, behavioral spheres, needless to mention the ever-changing business landscapes that we have been faced with. To stay on top of news media in a rapidly rising nation of such diversity is the work of champions. We are proud that we've been able to hold our audience's attention and to be a part of the nation's journey for the last 20 years. The advent of unbridled social media-based opinion factories, the proliferation of artificial intelligence, advanced graphics, and the ease of creating and disseminating news content have presented both challenges and opportunities. While these advancements have revolutionized the way we consume and engage with information, they've also amplified the spread of misinformation, blurring the lines between fact and fake. These developments are advancing much faster than we have been able to learn and adapt, and threaten the very fabric that holds society together, trust. In such a situation, your role as a consumer assumes paramount importance. The responsibility of sifting through the chaff and identifying the truth is yours to exercise. I cannot overstate how much your choice of news sources and the reasons for them and your ability to discern will have an impact on the future of news products and formats and businesses and society itself. Your attention will make or break the good forces that are vital for this crucial area of society, which goes well beyond just this industry. For our part, as a leading news network, we work hard to establish the credibility of our sources, to question, to verify, and to seek out the most reliable pieces of information to be put together as the basis of our reportage, arguments, and opinions. As viewers and subscribers and partners, you have appreciated our efforts and wholeheartedly supported this. This support indeed goes a long way in upholding the integrity and credibility of our journalism. Thank you for your continued faith in Times Now. All the hard work that we do in the field and in our newsrooms has resulted in opinions and stories from Times Now resonating across not just living rooms and water coolers in offices, but even boardrooms and assemblies, aptly and deservedly giving us the right to use the adage, action begins here. As we go forward with you on our ongoing voyage through the choppy oceans of information and disinformation, we would like to imagine and believe that you would also consider Times Now as not just the place where action begins here, but also where, in the context of facts, your search ends here. This summit is our effort to embody the same values and bring to you exciting content on the eve of historic Lok Sabha elections and at the beginning of what will be known as the India decades. It is true that an unstoppable nation needs an aggressive and responsible media. Times Now Summit is a part of that effort to empower our viewers with the highest standards of information that will let them embark on this journey of discovery, enlightenment, and progress. This 2-day summit will give all of us ample points to think about and implement, not just in the nation's journey, but also in our own respective unstoppable journeys. I welcome you all to this mega 2-day summit. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, NK. Here on Times Now, we of course pride ourselves in ensuring that we sift through the political rhetoric and always get our viewers a fact check.
Absolutely. And in fact, as far as Times Now Summit is concerned, this year's theme, of course, being India Unstoppable. Over the next 2 days, we bring you the leading voices of the Indian government, heads of India Inc., influential sports and film personalities, and thought leaders from various walks of life who will all share their views on what makes India unstoppable.
But before we move ahead, here's an introduction to this year's theme of Times Now Summit, India Unstoppable.
The dawn of progress and prosperity illuminates us. The time has arrived for a Naya Bharat. India is unstoppable. A nation unstoppable in every sphere of growth, progress, and continuity. Unstoppable in propelling innovation. India's innovation is driving growth and development. Relentless in its pursuit for achieving glory in business, economics, social empowerment, and energy. Celebrating the world's biggest democracy through remarkable accomplishments in the realms of geopolitics and infrastructure. India is shaping the future of the global narrative, envisioning a new India. Facilitating the convergence of our growing clout, technology, and tradition. Nurturing the groundwork for the transformative future of an unstoppable India. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th edition of the Times Now Summit.
That was amazing. And now that we're all poised to delve into India Unstoppable, we'd like to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to us that you, the audience, share your thoughts with us. So do share your views, suggestions, and photos on the social media using the hashtag TN Summit 2024.
And now maybe request the Managing Director of the Times Group, Shri Vineet Jain, to join us on the stage.
With over 3 decades of vast experience in corporate and social sectors, our eminent guest today is the first corporate man ever selected for such a high gubernatorial post.
Absolutely. In fact, his leadership abilities on a diverse range of social and corporate matters fused with technical, legal, social and cultural skills make him a philanthropist in vision and corporate scientist in action. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Shri Vinay Kumar Saxena.
In fact, we welcome the Lieutenant Governor and Mr. Vineet Jain to light the auspicious lamp to mark the inauguration of the Times Now Summit.
Well, thank you to all the dignitaries. May we also now request Mr. Jain to welcome the Honorable Lieutenant Governor with a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jain. May we now request Sri Saxena to deliver the inaugural address on our theme, India Unstoppable.
Managing Director, Times Group, Shri Vineet Jain ji, Times Group CEO, Shri N. Subramaniam ji, Group Editor-in-Chief of Times Group, Ms. Navika Kumar ji, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar. It gives me immense pleasure to be in the midst of this distinguished gathering and senior media professionals at the 4th edition of Times Now Summit. Citizens of India, from towns and villages, young and old, the rich and the poor, are gearing up to participate in the most sacred festival of India, general elections. Every 5 years, the common man goes to the polling station to exercise their democratic right to give his or her own verdict on the performance of the government of the day. India's democratic traditions have been applauded around the world. The theme of today's summit, India Unstoppable, is indeed apt. The last decade has been transformational in the journey of our nation. India's robust economic growth has been powered on the strength of strong institutions and independent financial regulator, independent judiciary, and a vocal and independent media. Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi has already projected that India will emerge as the third largest economy of the world in the next 5 years. Let us look at some numbers which reflect the changing face of aspirational India, which captures the story of unstoppable India. The number of bank accounts opened under the PM Jan Dhan Yojana has crossed 50 crores. More than 130 crores Indians have Aadhaar card. More than 120 crores Indians have their own mobile phones. This trinity of Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile phone has revolutionized the digital economy of India. People from around the world are stunned to see how the common street vendor is transacting business on the streets with his mobile phone. Millions of women in India have been empowered in this new age economy and are doing this business sitting at home. Apart from this, a new dynamics of service delivery has been created and all welfare schemes of the central government are delivered through direct benefit transfer. The whole architecture of governance has undergone a sea change. Transparency of the service delivery is the defining mantra. It was not too far ago when a sitting Prime Minister confessed candidly that of the 1 rupee sanctioned by the central government, only 10 paisa reached the actual beneficiary. This is a thing of past. एक कहावत है, जब कोई व्यक्ति अंधकार से लड़ने का साहस कर लेता है, तो एकमात्र जुगनू सारे अंधकार को हर लेता है. हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ये इस कविता को चरितार्थ करके दिखाया है. There is now a new energy in youth of our country, which is our biggest strength. Nearly 2/3 of Indians are below the age of 35. There are nearly 450 million millennials in India, which is a force to reckon with. This will turn out to be the biggest asset for India, and the youth of India will fill the skill gap of the world, which is increasingly seeing a growing population. India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, growing at nearly 15% annually. Today, 1 out of every 10 unicorns are born in India. Youngsters in the startup space are no longer coming just for metropolitan cities, but from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities also. This diversification demonstrates the power of aspirational youth in India. It also captures the business environment prevailing in the country, where ease of doing business is the central pillar of economic policy. The remarkable transformation in infrastructure space has caught the imagination of the world. Even the remotest corners of India in the northeast have functional civilian airports. There were just 74 airports in 2014. The number has doubled in 10 years, and now we have 148 airports. The phenomenal pace of construction of national highways, more than 28 kilometers a day, is indeed an amazing feat. A vast network of expressways has added momentum growth trajectory. The new age trains, Vande Bharat and Amrit Bharat, are being appreciated by each citizen of the country. PM Gati Shakti will now power the infrastructure journey and unlock the economic potential of the logistics sector. Innovation in clean transportation is another area where India has made impressive gains in the last 5 years. It was unthinkable a decade ago that India will be amongst the world's top nations manufacturing electric buses, cars, and two-wheelers. The FAME scheme has ushered a revolution in the automobile industry, and Indian companies are emerging as among the top global brands in this space. A few months ago, all of us witnessed with pride India's leadership role in the G20 summit, which was convened in a difficult geopolitical backdrop. The whole world applauded the Prime Minister Modi's role in bringing consensus at the summit. Leaders of the nation also saw the transformation of that part of Delhi which hosted the summit. For me, it was an occasion to step in and work along with a team of officers to ensure that the national capital is spruced up and prepared to receive dignitaries from around the world. The entire team worked tirelessly to ensure that there were befitting arrangements for a global event of that scale. Delhi is a melting pot of India. Apart from being its political capital, it attracts professionals, migrants, and youngsters who move to the city in search of better life prospects. When we view the city from the lens of infrastructure planning, we have to factor in the larger NCR area with a growing population. Delhi has a pivotal role to play in achieving the goal of Viksit Bharat. Compared to the major capital cities, Delhi lagged behind with some legacy issues. However, in the last 2 years, concerted efforts have been made to make Delhi a truly global and inclusive destination. We are streamlining the businesses and licensing processes, making it easier than ever to invest and create jobs. Today, the city has 2 world-class convention centers, Yashobhumi and Bharat Mandapam. These have emerged as overbooked destination for conventions, meetings, exhibitions, and workshops. During the last 1 year, we gave permission to 750 business establishments to operate on a 24/7 basis. Permissions have also been granted to 5-star and 4-star hotels to operate restaurants and bars on 24/7 basis. With my intervention, the MCD has now started granting licenses for open space dining to the existing eateries. Permission has also granted for creating a special economic zone at Delhi Airport that will further boost the economic growth. A major reform in the old licensing regime has been introduced with a modified unified portal for licensing of eating, boarding, lodging and establishments in Delhi. The licenses that were earlier taking 3 years to be issued can now be obtained in just 49 days. Delhi Metro has changed the face of urban mobility. Delhi also now has more than 1,650 electric buses inducted as part of FAME scheme of Government of India. The regional aid project, which will connect Delhi with Meerut, will alter the dynamics of urban housing, work opportunities and mobility. Delhi Development Authority has drawn up an ambitious plan to develop an education city in Narela. It has also launched an ambitious Delhi Gramodyog Abhiyan to develop the villages of Delhi that have so far remained deprived of even basic amenities. It is also my ambition to develop a gold souk in Delhi, for which we have already initiated a dialogue with the Gems and Jewelry Export Council of Ministry of Commerce. DDA has also entered into collaborative arrangements with Archaeological Survey of India for restoring and preserving heritage monuments. The Mehroli Archaeological Park has already been transformed into a recreational space with modern amenities. Works has already begun on restoring the heritage sites and structures as Sanjavan, Shalimar Bagh and Roshanara Bagh. DDA is also developing the entire Yamuna riverfront and creating green open spaces for the citizens of Delhi. Bansera, which used to be a dump yard of construction waste, has already been transformed into a large bamboo grove, which is drawing thousands of citizens every day. Asita is another new destination of Yamuna floodplain that has been reclaimed from a wasteland. मैं आप सभी से ये रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि आप एक बार बांसेरा और असीता जरूर जाके देखें और शायद आपको ये नहीं महसूस होगा कि हम आप दिल्ली के किसी पार्ट में हैं. In the coming months, we shall be intensifying our efforts to transform Delhi into the world-class capital in line with the Prime Minister's ambition of Viksit Bharat. Friends, all of you have a crucial role to play in presenting a fair picture of political, social and economic developments before the people of this country. Media is a crucial institution which lends strength to our democratic tradition. I am sure that all of you are conscious of the enormous responsibility which you carry upon your shoulders. बचपन में हम सभी ने एक मुहावरा सुना होगा, लोहे के चने चबाना, और मुझे याद है कि इसका अर्थ बताया जाता था कि मुश्किल काम करना. लेकिन मैं आपसे आज इस बात को शेयर करना चाहता हूं कि दिल्ली में आकर मुझे इस मुहावरे का सही अर्थ मालूम पड़ा. यहां हर काम को करने के लिए लोहे के चने ही चबाने जैसा है. आप जिस काम को करने की कोशिश करते हैं उससे ज्यादा बड़ी फोर्सेस उस काम को रोकने का काम करती हैं, और अगर आपने वो काम कर लिया तो कुछ फोर्सेस उसका श्रेय अपने ऊपर लेने का भी काम करती हैं. तो ऐसे हालात में दिल्ली में काम करना वास्तव में लोहे के चने चबाने जैसा ही है. लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा उसके बावजूद भी काम हुए हैं. ना मैं गिरा न मेरी उम्मीद के मीनार गिरे, ना मैं गिरा न मेरी उम्मीद के मीनार गिरे, हाँ मुझे गिराने में कई लोग कई बार गिरे. थैंक यू.
बिफोर वी लेट यू गो एलजी साहब, आप एक मीडिया नेटवर्क टाइम्स नाउ के समिट पर आए हैं, तो एक हेडलाइन तो बनती है. तो दिल्ली में इस वक्त जो हाल चल रहे हैं, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूं कि विल ऑल ऑफ अस बी बाइस्टैंडर्स? सरकार क्या जेल से चलेगी और क्या हम सब हेल्पलेस ही रहेंगे? हेलो,
मैं दिल्ली की जनता को एश्योर कर सकता हूं कि सरकार जेल से नहीं चलेगी.
बहुत बड़ी बात कही आपने, लेकिन मैं ये भी जानती हूं कि आप अपने आप को रिलैक्स करने के लिए कई बार पोएट्री, गानों का बहुत शौक रखते हैं. आज इस मौके पर फिट होता हुआ अगर कोई शायरी या कोई गीत सुना दे.
देखिए, ये ओकेजन नहीं है गाना गाने का, और मैं गाता हूं, ये सच है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है. लेकिन मैंने आज तक कभी किसी महफिल में नहीं गाया, और खासतौर से इतनी बड़ी महफिल का तो मैं सपना भी नहीं सोच सकता हूं गाने के लिए. मैं एक बाथरूम सिंगर हूं, और बाथरूम में जब आप नॉब ऑन करते हैं, जो ठंडा पानी आता है, तो उस वक्त सुर कुछ और निकलते हैं, और अचानक जब उसमें से बहुत गर्म पानी आने लगता है तो आपको मालूम है सुर बिल्कुल बदल जाते हैं. क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ कोई ऑटोमेटिक बाथरूम में सारे सिस्टम्स नहीं है, सब मैनुअली हैं, मैं ये भी बताना चाहता हूँ आपको। नाविका जी, आप नारी शक्ति का रूप हैं और आपने मुझसे ये कहा है कुछ गाने के लिए, तो मैं गाऊंगा तो नहीं, लेकिन मुझे सिलसिला फिल्म का एक अमिताभ बच्चन साहब का जो मैं और मेरी तन्हाई याद आ रहा है, उसको मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूं आपको सुनाने की। मैं और मेरी तन्हाई अक्सर ये बातें करते हैं, तुम होती तो कैसा होता, तुम ये कहती, तुम वो कहती, तुम इस बात पे हैरान होती, तुम उस बात पे कितना हंसती, तुम होती तो ऐसा होता, तुम होती तो वैसा होता। ये रात है या तुम्हारी जुल्फें खुली हुई हैं, है चांदनी या तुम्हारी नजरों से मेरी रातें धुली हुई हैं। ये चांद है या तुम्हारा कंगन, सितारे हैं या तुम्हारा आंचल, हवा का झोंका है या तुमने चुपके से कुछ कहा है पत्तियों की सरसराहट या तुमने चुपके से कुछ कहा है। सोचता हूं कब से ये गुमसुम, जबकि मुझको भी ये खबर है कि तुम नहीं हो, कहीं नहीं हो, मगर दिल है कि कह रहा है तुम यहीं हो, यहीं कहीं हो। मजबूर ये हालात इधर भी हैं उधर भी, तन्हाई की एक रात इधर भी है उधर भी। कहने को बहुत कुछ है मगर किससे कहें हम, कब तक यूं ही खामोश रहें और सहें हम। दिल कहता है दुनिया की हर रस्म उठा दें, दीवार जो हम दोनों में है आज गिरा दें। क्यों दिल में सुलगते रहें, लोगों को बता दें, हाँ हमको मोहब्बत है, मोहब्बत है, मोहब्बत है। अब दिल में यही बात इधर भी है और उधर भी।
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Shri Saxena, for those words and being a sport and reading out, or rather reciting all of those poetic words as well. We request you all, ladies and gentlemen, once again to please stand for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा, उत्कल जलधि तरंगा। तब शुभ नामे जागे, तब शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तब जय गाथा। जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you so much, sir. The Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Shri Vinay Saxena, joining us. A very candid interview that he has given to us. Of course, the biggest takeaway is going to be when he said, Delhi ki sarkar jail se nahi chalegi.
Well, many headlines actually, because he also started in his speech saying कि यहाँ पे लोहे के चने चबाने पड़ते हैं, दिल्ली में कोई भी काम होता है बहुत मुश्किल होता है. Literally talking about how it is very difficult to get any work done, because if you try to get work done, then there is opposition, and if you do get the work done, then there is credit that is taken for it. So I think very clear hint at what's been happening here in the national capital for the last few years or so. At least that was the reference of the Lieutenant Governor. But very, very interesting, Meghna, because we're going to have a session soon. But before that, we're going to be playing out an AV, and we would like all our viewers to continue to join us with the Times Now Summit, and of course continue to put on social media all of your posts, all your photos, videos, whatever you may be clicking here, and do use the official hashtag as well.
Absolutely. The official hashtag is hashtag TN Summit 2024. Hashtag TN Summit 2024. We have a huge session lined up for you. We are going to be joined by none other than Bill Gates. But before that, a quick look as to why this Times Now Summit is very crucial right now for us to understand why India's unstoppable.
When journalism is led by integrity, and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth, and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9, only on Times Now.
Truth isn't very complicated. Only agendas make it obfuscated. To avoid the whataboutery, stay away from the lazy analysis. Because you get the truth when you are upfront. For the intelligent, incisive Indian. India Upfront with me, Padmaja Joshi, weeknights 8 p.m. only on Times Now.
Journalism is a mission, not just to seek accountability or a fight for justice, but for honesty and integrity. Voicing citizens' concerns and using the truth to demand answers, ensuring that you come first on agenda. Watch News on Agenda with me, Maludas Gopalakrishnan, weeknights at 10 o'clock only on Times Now. And our next speaker will be joining us virtually, but the power of his thoughts will in no way be diluted owing to the medium.
Well, that's right. An icon in his own might. Someone whose company has disrupted our very way of working, even before disruption was a word in everyday parlance. He has, over the past many years and decades, shifted his focus to the welfare of people and the planet.
And to share his views on what makes India unstoppable, please join us in welcoming the co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, and he will be in conversation with Group Editor, Times Network, and Editor-in-Chief, Times Now, Navika Kumar.
Over to you, Navika.
Joining me this morning, which is actually well past midnight for Mr. Bill Gates, who's joining us straight from Seattle. Thank you very much, Mr. Bill Gates, for speaking to us here at the Times Now Summit, where we have in the audience, apart from millions of viewers of Times Network's channels, we also have decision makers of the country joining us. I often read what you write about India, and I recently read, because you've been visiting India since the 1990s. In your blog, Gates Notes, you've written around this time last year, I wrote a Gates Notes post that that's what you say. I just returned from my visit to India and I can't wait to go back again. And then you also said last week, I got my wish and returned to India, and now I'm home and I can't wait to go back yet another visit to India. What are the three big things that keep drawing you back to India? What do you really pick up in terms of comeback factors to India, unstoppable as we're calling it today?
Well, of course, in my first career at Microsoft, I had a great experience in India where over the last 25 years, Microsoft has built up a team there, now over 25,000 people. And on my last trip, I went to Hyderabad and we celebrated the great work that's gone on. More recently, in my foundation career, India's a key country for us. It's the country that we have the most on-the-ground activities and very deep partnership with many of the ministries at the union level and with several of the states, particularly UP, Bihar, and now Orissa, where I made my first visit just recently. You know, it's really the breadth of talent in India, the desire to move quickly, a real interest in low-cost solutions that not only work super well for India, but also can scale and have an impact in all developing countries. And so the model that we're using in the foundation for many of our projects is that we work first in India, either with the government or the private sector, and then we learn together and then help other countries. That's true in all our health work, where, you know, vaccines are probably the most famous, but now drugs and diagnostics are joining that list. And then, of course, everything in the digital realm, you know, where India pioneered starting with the identity system, but now more and more digital public infrastructure. And it was fantastic that India used the big G20 meeting to introduce other countries, and we've seen a lot of uptake. And so I sat down with the government. We talked about how we're helping other countries get on the same path that India's on. And then I saw some recent applications like pest control and educating farmers that were really very impressive. And, you know, I think the platform is just going to keep getting richer and richer.
Well, I want to ask you about the Indian growth story. The theme of our summit this time around is Unstoppable India. India has grown by 8% in the last quarter, and we are heading towards election, and it's always a noisy election in India. What's your outlook for India and its place in the world in the coming years?
Well, India's had pretty steady growth for some time. You know, obviously there's countries to learn from that also, you know, had periods of very long growth. India will have to do things its own way. You know, manufacturing, for example, will play a role, but not as great a role as it did, say, in China. Services will play a greater role. You know, I think the basic investments in health and in education to really benchmark and say, okay, you know, where's the Indian education system falling short? You know, how do we deal with such a range of skills in the public schools? You know, I'm pleased that the willingness to really look at, okay, where are the deficits? Where are the exemplars in the country? And here, you know, technology is also going to be a very big tool, starting with the digital platform, but then also with AI. And, you know, maintaining 8% or 7%, even 6% growth over decades is very hard to do. You know, you have to streamline things, you know, engage the private sector in the right way. But for India, you know, it's that investment in youth and acknowledging, okay, where in nutrition do we still have more to do? Where in education do we still have more to do? And you know, the people, you know, I'm working with in the government, you know, have these goals in mind. So, you know, our foundation ends up being a partner in helping the government achieve many of those goals, particularly in health, but also in agriculture and to some degree even in education.
Well, you, Mr. Gates, meet a lot of people during your visits to India. You've met scientists, you've met Prime Minister, you've met women who are lifting their communities out of poverty, students at IIT, agriculture experts. But you also had an interesting meeting with a chai wala. And you said in India you can find innovation everywhere you turn, even in the preparation of a simple cup of chai. And you know, chai walas have a huge story and connect with the present success story of Prime Minister Modi. Tell us a little bit more about this latest experience that really hit social media like a storm, and your experiences with this chai wala.
Yeah, I flew into Hyderabad at the start of my trip, and it was actually my team, you know, that thought, okay, let's do something fun that shows that you're, you know, fascinated by India, and, you know, you'll be learning even more about Indian culture. You know, I had no understanding of, you know, chai wala, and even they told me it was in the Prime Minister's career. And so when we actually did the video, I thought, maybe hundreds of people would watch it. And so it's certainly my surprise that it became, kind of a phenomena. And during my trip, everybody was saying, oh, how about that? That was really fun. So, the entrepreneurial spirit there, and, we had a nice setting where we did it, that sort of framed things. But then, I had many more serious things, including an extensive conversation with the Prime Minister, and I really enjoyed the dialogue with the students in Delhi. It's always fascinating what questions I get asked, and then to see the progress, so that the foundation can tune how we're a great partner.
And what about the big fat Indian wedding? Did you enjoy that one on your last trip?
Mukesh Ambani has been a good friend. I've followed his work. One of the afternoons I went and toured the refinery there, which is a very impressive piece of work. And Mukesh was pretty busy, but I got a chance to talk to him about some of his new green investments. And I felt very lucky to be included, and the hospitality was the best ever.
Mr. Gates, the Gates Foundation has been extensively involved in healthcare initiatives in India over a long period of time, particularly in combating diseases like tuberculosis and malaria. How do you see India's progress towards achieving universal health coverage? Even as we speak, about 12 crore families are known to have the coverage of Ayushman Bharat, which is the insurance cover provided by the government, which is India's step towards universal health care for underprivileged. How do you see this impacting Indian population in the long term, especially the underprivileged population of India?
Yeah, the foundation has had, ever since our beginning back in 2000, India is a key place that we've worked. And, it's been great to see that the resources and focus going into primary healthcare have been very, very strong. We work mostly at the primary healthcare level. So the great advance in reducing childhood death and maternal mortality, that's where we're very specialized. India has adopted a lot of new vaccines for things like pneumonia and diarrhea. Those have made a huge difference. Of course, they're also made by our partners in India at very attractive cost, and therefore beneficial not just to India. There's still work to be done on things like nutrition and anemia, and the government has set very ambitious goals. There's some particular diseases like Kala-Azar or lymphatic filariasis where the government's very ambitious there, and really we've been able to make very good progress with them. So as you get past primary health care, that's somewhat outside our priority focus. I did a lot of learning this time to see how non-communicable diseases are an increasing priority, and trying to think, how the foundation could be helpful in that space. But, we're still very focused on the infectious disease burden, and, the vaccine coverage, and the understanding of, where there's still pockets that we need to work on. It's been great to see that emphasis on empowering the workforce, using digital databases, and even looking at the districts, what they call aspirational districts, and saying, the numbers aren't quite as good in these areas. Let's try to make sure they're not left behind. So that, sense that every Indian life is valuable fits in with the very values that drive the Gates Foundation.
Mr. Gates, you've had a lot of faith in Indian innovation and the manner in which it should be playing a bigger role in global health issues. How do you see the road forward, and what do you think India could do in this area?
Well, India is already having a huge impact with the vaccine industry. You know, everybody knows Serum, but we've also got great partners like Bharat Biotech and BioE, and they each, have brought some great strengths. In fact, the majority of all the vaccines purchased by UNICEF or Gavi are coming from these manufacturers. So I had a chance to touch base with each of them about what the product roadmap looks like and what we can do even more. There's room for innovation in vaccines. There's a lot of diseases we don't have vaccines for, including TB. We have a first-generation malaria vaccine, but we'll need a second-generation vaccine that has even better protection. Also in the drug area, there's a lot of companies in India that are very advanced there. This was the first time I met with the diagnostic companies. Many of those, expanded to step up for the COVID pandemic and now want to be global diagnostic companies. So I met with a number of them, and we have ambitious goals like a TB test for under $2, and we're going to use those partnerships to get a lot better diagnostics for India and for the world.
You also met with the Prime Minister. You've done that several times in the past, but once again last month. I want to know if you can share with us whether you spoke on issues of health being priority, healthcare has been prioritized, digital transformation in healthcare that's taken place, and how India can play a role in changing the global healthcare scenario across the world. Any conversations on this between you and Prime Minister Modi?
Well, certainly, health is 2/3 of what our foundation does. And so we're always talking about the latest thing, and how through partnerships in India, we can prove them out. Treatment for anemia, we need to get the cost of that down. There's a breakthrough that instead of a pregnant woman who's very anemic needing 6 infusions, looks like we can go with 1. And then I was talking with Indian partners how we take the cost of that, which is over $30 today, to get that under $10. And so I shared some of those anecdotes with the Prime Minister. The government is putting increasing money into healthcare, and it's maintaining a significant share for the primary healthcare. You've got to spend both at the hospital level and these wellness centers that a little bit, the pandemic, although it was tragic, accelerated the notion of, okay, how many tiers do we have? What services are available? It's been great to see the investment in that, even in the states where the healthcare statistics had been behind. The improvement in Bihar and UP, which have been 2 of our big focus states, are really strong, which the state and federal government have really made that happen. We're pleased that we got to pitch in with it. So yes, it's an exciting time in health, because our understanding of things like malnutrition, finally we're getting some low-cost interventions there that, will make that the human resource, which is the primary resource India has, even more effective.
Mr. Gates, do you really believe that digital public infrastructure that has been made in India is an example to the world, especially amongst developing countries, in providing healthcare effectively to a larger base of citizens? The manner in which COVID vaccinations were given through apps, does that really give a statement of sorts to the world?
Absolutely. The digital approach, you can track, where they're pregnant women, are they coming in for their visits? Are they getting their vaccines? You can make sure that, all the workers are being hired, that they're properly trained. During the pandemic, those digital systems were very impressive. And, now that's being applied to routine healthcare, starting with things like the potion tracker, that's coordinating the work of the Angamwani workers, and eventually all the health workers will get a common view and be able to share data. So that vision that the Prime Minister has enunciated, there's good progress towards that, and in the next several years, we'll really get that implemented. So digital pays off. Even in agriculture, which you wouldn't think, what I saw with the pest control application, that you immediately tell the farmer who's nearby that they need to get there and intervene before the problem becomes significant. The statistics on how that's reduced pest loss, that was the first time I saw that kind of system working well. And, digital applications, the efficiency with which you can give advice to citizens, share information with citizens, get payments to citizens. We always knew that it was a platform that it would get broader and broader, starting with the identity and payment, but now in health, education, and agriculture is the ones that we're helping out with.
Well, during your last visit, I was privy to a conversation that you had at the breakfast hosted by Minister Hardeep Puri. I happened to be there in your honor. And this conversation on artificial intelligence, a kind of conversation that was given, a presentation that was given by Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Do you think artificial intelligence, deep fake, are these areas where India can collaborate with other countries and find the best balance between the positives and the negatives of this technology?
Absolutely, and it's great that people are already looking into what is the ability to create, say, a tutor or to provide health advice, and how can India be an exemplar in terms of taking advantage of this while maintaining the kind of quality that obviously in health and education you want to have, and the opportunity and challenges are global in nature. The companies doing this work are quite global. For the foundation, we'll have India as a place we want to really help get the pilots done. And so the dialogue about, under what regulatory scheme do you let this go full speed and yet deal with those challenges? India will absolutely be part of that dialogue and bring a lot of expertise to it. As the government embraces these things, their ability to understand what the rules around them should be gets that much stronger.
Well, you've also worked with Minister Smriti Irani in the area of women and childcare. Your takeaways from some of the work in that area?
Well, that ministry has a huge responsibility for uplifting women, which is a very important thing all over the world. It's one of the great things, upsides the Indian economy has to maintain growth, is to draw women into the workforce more. Obviously, for women, everything around maternal health, is important, and that's an area that we are putting a lot into and we'll be learning together, including the anemia work I mentioned, but not just that, many other areas as well. So, the idea of promoting nutrition, balanced diets, helping women's groups, getting women connected to these digital systems, systems, constantly tracking that, okay, everybody's using, a lot of people are using digital bank accounts, but, are women doing that equally to men? And if not, why not? Do we need to use women's groups? How do you overcome any sort of cultural barriers? A lot of the most deprived women are out in the rural areas. Do we have the kind of coverage and information for them? And so the minister's done a good job of drawing us in as a partner, and we even used a comic book which is out there to get the nutrition information out very broadly.
Well, of course, she's known to be a firebrand minister back home in India. Thank you so much for your time. But before I let you go, Mr. Bill Gates, it's election season and nobody is let off on this summit platform without a question on who they are putting their bets on to form the next government. Any wild guesses on the election season and what do you think you're going to see in India post the month of June?
I'm very focused on the U.S. education election where I am a voter. Obviously India should be proud that it's the world's largest democracy and, you're allowing lots of different voices to be heard. We will work, in every state we'll work with, whoever the voters choose. I'm sure there'll be, some degree of continuity. We're a neutral organization, but the idea that politicians compete less on who's in their group and more on trying to lift everybody up. It's great to see that in India you can have politicians saying, okay, I'll do better at vaccine coverage than you do, and no, I'll do better on nutrition than you do. So the fact that these basic issues, that the democracy helps air them, and the record on these basic human needs is part of how politicians is selected. I think that is great for India.
Well, I know you won't speak more and not name, but your answer there on the continuity, I think the message has got across to the audiences here, Mr. Bill Gates. But clearly, the silver lining for democracies that are alive and kicking, and that's the most important part. Thank you very much, Mr. Bill Gates. Thank you for answering all the questions, and thank you for giving us your time in the middle of the night, not a very respectable time in the United States at this moment, and addressing this august audience here. The cross-section of Indian society, decision makers, India Inc. and government representatives all here listening to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Times Now Summit.